The grand palace of Arvenia glittered under the golden sun. King Alaric, ruler of the realm, was loved by many and feared by more. He was a just king, but he carried a dangerous flaw: he trusted too easily. On the eve of his 50th birthday, the palace bustled with preparations for a magnificent feast. Nobles from across the kingdom arrived with gifts, musicians tuned their instruments, and the royal chefs worked tirelessly. But beneath the excitement, whispers filled the halls: someone plans to kill the king tonight. The warning came not from a spy or guard, but from a hooded stranger who had slipped a note into the king's chamber. Alaric read the words carefully. "Your Majesty, at the feast, beware the cup. It carries your fate." The king's heart pounded, but he did not reveal his fear. Instead, he summoned his most loyal knight, Sir Cedric. "Cedric, I must test my enemies tonight. Whoever plots against me will reveal themselves when the wine is poured." The feast began in dazzling splendor. Candles lit the grand hall, jewels sparkled on gowns, and the air smelled of roasted pheasant and honeyed bread. Alaric sat at the head of the table, his golden crown glimmering in the firelight. One by one, the guests raised their cups as servants filled them with crimson wine. Alaric's cup was the last. He lifted it slowly, his eyes scanning the hall. But before he could drink, Sir Cedric stepped forward. "My king, allow me the honor of toasting before you." He raised his cup and drank deeply. The hall fell silent. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Cedric dropped his goblet, clutching his throat, his face turning pale. He collapsed, dead. Gasps echoed through the hall. The wine had been poisoned. Alaric's hand trembled. His most loyal knight had sacrificed his life for him. But the question remained: who had placed the poison? The king ordered the hall sealed. No one could leave until the truth was found. Panic spread among the nobles, whispers turning into accusations. "Perhaps it was the Duke of Vera," one shouted. "He always coveted the throne." "No," another argued, "it must be Lady Selene. She despises the king's rule." Alaric silenced them with a raised hand. "No one leaves until I know the traitor." He called forth the royal alchemist, a frail old man named Marlowe. The alchemist examined Cedric's cup, sniffed the liquid, and whispered, "It is nightshade, swift and cruel." But it could only have been poured moments before the feast. That meant the killer had to be someone close, someone who had access to the table. The king studied the faces before him. Some looked terrified, others calm, too calm. Then his eyes fell upon his own son, Prince Darius. The prince sat stiffly, his gaze fixed on the floor. He had always been ambitious, always impatient for the throne. Could he? Alaric's chest ached at the thought. But before he could speak, the doors burst open. A servant stumbled in, pale and breathless. "Majesty! The kitchen is in chaos. The head chef is dead, stabbed through the heart." The hall erupted in cries of shock. "Bring the kitchen staff here at once," the king commanded. Moments later, trembling servants were dragged before him. Among them was a young scullion boy, barely 15, his hands stained with wine. "Speak, boy," the king demanded. "Who ordered you to touch my cup?" Tears filled the boy's eyes. I don't know his name, sire. He wore a mask and gave me a pouch of silver. He said if I didn't pour it, he would kill my family." "Describe him." "He had a scar across his cheek." The hall went still. Everyone knew that scar. It belonged to Lord Vera, the very duke accused earlier. Guards seized Lord Vera, dragging him to the center. He spat angrily. "This is a lie. A trick. I have no need for poison when I have armies to claim what is mine." The king studied him carefully. His fury seemed real. But Alaric had learned one lesson tonight: appearances deceived. "Take him to the dungeon," the king ordered. "He will answer further." The feast resumed in uneasy silence. No one touched their wine again. But as the night wore on, Alaric's thoughts twisted. Why had the warning come? Who sent it? Why would his enemies give him a chance to live? Unless, the warning itself was part of the plot. At midnight, unable to sleep, he returned to his chambers. The note still lay on his desk. This time, he noticed something he hadn't before. The handwriting was familiar. It was his son's. Rage and sorrow tore through him. Darius, his own blood. He confronted the prince in the royal garden. Moonlight bathed the boy's pale face. "Why, Darius?" the king asked, his voice breaking. The prince's eyes burned. "Because you will never let go. You cling to the throne while the kingdom rots. I gave you a chance to see the danger. I wanted you to step aside willingly. The poison was never meant for you, it was for Cedric. He stood in my way more than you ever did." Alaric staggered back. His loyal knight, betrayed not by strangers, but by the prince he had raised. "Darius," the king whispered, "power gained by deceit will always destroy you." The guards, summoned by Alaric's signal, seized the prince. His screams echoed through the night as he was dragged away. The next morning, the king stood alone in the throne room. His crown felt heavier than ever. He had nearly lost his life, his kingdom, and his son in one night. He raised Cedric's broken sword in the hall and declared, "Let this be known, a king is not destroyed by enemies beyond the walls, but by betrayal within them. Trust must be given wisely, for even love can hide a dagger." Moral of the story: blind trust can be as dangerous as open betrayal. True wisdom lies in seeing beyond appearances and knowing that power without loyalty leads only to ruin. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share.